Hi, I'm Melanie from Nova Scotia, Canada, and this is Adventures in Groceryland. This is Friday, and that means it is my weekly meal video of my $25 grocery budget challenge of 2025. The way the challenge works is I have $25 cash available to me. That's the max cash I can spend. But what I'm hoping to do is utilize any strategy that I can think of to increase my buying power. Store incentive programs, shopping markdowns, meal planning, anything that I can think of where I can get more, but not spending any more actual cash dollars. I had some fantastic meals this week. Check out what I was able to have. Hey everyone, just a reminder going into week 4, besides for the items I purchased with the week 4 $25 cash and whatever means that I was able to increase my buying power, I also have access to all of this food. So this is leftover items from weeks 1, 2, and 3. I have access to spices that I grew and dehydrated and preserved myself. And I have access to anything that is still growing in my garden. And yes, I do have some things still growing in my garden. And anything that I have already processed as preserves. Those are free to me as well. I finished the week 4 grocery shop at $24.31. I had 69 cents left, and I had intended on buying noodles and an onion, but what I ended up getting instead was noodles and some bulk items at the country store. I paid 11 cents for the yeast and 23 cents for the popcorn for a total of 34 cents. So 34 and 34 is 68. I came in this week at $24.99. Woo! Today is day 1 of my new smoothie routine. So we have now strawberries. I'm going to put half of an avocado in. I got this idea from my sister who puts avocado in her smoothies. And when I saw the bags for $1, I thought this is an awesome way to add more fruit into a smoothie. I took one of my frozen bananas out. Yes, it looks pretty not great, but I'm using half of it today and I'll use half tomorrow. Same with the avocado. And I'm still going to use that little Activia yogurt drink. I've got flax and actual yogurt and almond milk if I need more liquid. All right, here we go. It's having a hard time with the frozen strawberries. Next time, a little bit more liquid needed. Of course, it's more than enough for me, so I put the extra in this cup on the left, and the handsome one can have that. I already started eating. I forgot to take the video. I'm having a leftover pizza for lunch. Easy button for supper tonight. Chicken strips, peas, and I have potatoes that I made the other night for supper that I have left over. So it's going to be a quick and easy one. Chicken strips, peas, and potatoes. Day 2 of my week of breakfast smoothies. Avocado and the banana, the half of them from yesterday are in the container here. Let's get everything put together. I didn't put any Swiss chard in yesterday's, so we'll get it in today's. I added a lot more liquid. And the banana was really, ugh. So I think tomorrow when I make the smoothie, I need to cut the frozen banana in half and put the other half back in the freezer and keep it frozen. Adding the extra bit of liquid in today, there was enough for me to get a smoothie for each of us. So we're each going to be having the smoothie today. Looks good. I was wondering if the Swiss chard was going to turn it green. However, the Swiss chard that I happened to pick today, both were reddish. Tomorrow, I am going to make baked beans and ham and scallop potatoes for supper. So that means today I need to start the beans soaking, and these need to soak overnight. So I need to get them in a bowl. I'll cover these and let them soak all day today and overnight tonight. Simple lunch today: hard-boiled egg, sliced tomato, and sliced cucumber. I'm a little late getting my breakfast in today. We're making a smoothie. I've already cut the banana in half and put the other part, still frozen, back in the freezer so it doesn't turn nasty in the fridge. Avocado, strawberries, yogurt, almond milk, the yogurt drink, and flax. And I'm going to make enough again today for myself and the handsome one. I just did a little cleanup of my Swiss chard. These 2 leaves are going to go in the smoothie. And although these ones are no good for the leaves, I'm still cleaning them up and I'm going to save the stalks, and those will be fine in lieu of celery in future recipes. Smoothies for breakfast. I'm not sure if you guys had any foreshadowing with the different ingredients that I've been accumulating over the last couple weeks, but I am going to make baked beans. So I've had my beans soaking overnight. And I'm going to cook it with ham. Now, normally I cook baked beans with a ham, like a big ham. But this is what I have, and this is what fits within my budget, and it's going to work just fine. It's early. I'm kind of getting everything ready now because the beans are going to need to cook for quite a duration today. The first thing I need to do is boil the soaked beans for about 25 to 30 minutes. Left to my own devices and not on a challenge, I don't buy my beans at Bulk Barn, and I don't use pinto beans. I use local Webster's Farm Jacobs cattle beans. They are my all-time favorite beans for baked beans, and I use the recipe on the back of the package. I have been using these beans for years. I'll just leave this here for a minute in case anyone wants to look over the recipe. Pause their screen and look over the recipe. I'm on step 2 right now. Place beans in a pot, cover with water. After boiling for 5 minutes, simmer until the beans are tender, approximately a half an hour. A surefire way is to remove the bean from the pot, blow on it, and if the skin of the bean cracks, they're close to being ready. And they need to be nearly as tender as you would like them to be when you eat them, because they won't soften much more once you add your sugars. I lost track of how long mine had boiled the last time I made beans, and they were not soft enough, so I won't make the same mistake today. And this is the pot. Always, always, always the same. I've probably had this pot for, I don't know, 30 years. This is always what I make my beans in. The beans are boiling. What I have decided that I'm going to do is that I'm also going to make some brown bread. I don't have some of the ingredients that are listed here, like the powdered milk, but I have everything else, and I'm going to use almond milk in lieu. I don't know how much yet. I initially didn't think that I was going to have enough molasses to make brown bread, but I do. Even if I made the full required amount here, I only need a half a cup, which is 125 milliliters, and I certainly didn't purchase 454 grams of beans, so I actually do have enough. I'm excited. I'm going to cut these 3 pieces of bacon and put in the beans in lieu of pork. Well, it is pork, but in lieu of what's on the ingredient list. All right, this is what it looks like. I actually made a half batch of the liquid. I've got this on here. Then you add water to cover the beans, which I have done. And I've added in those pieces of bacon and the onion on top. You're supposed to use a medium onion. This is like a half batch. I used half of the cut onion that I have. And as this cooks, I'm really debating should I use a little more or not. But for now, we're going to start with this. Now that I got the beans and the bread in, it is time to make lunch. And I'm thoughtful about what I'm making for lunch today because I need this cream of mushroom soup for the scalloped potatoes that I'm going to make for supper tonight. But I don't need a whole can. I'm not making that much scalloped potatoes. So I'm going to use, this is a half a can of frozen tuna. I used the first half of the can in week 1. I'm going to use some of the rotini. I'm going to cut up, these are all of my Swiss chard stalks, so I'm going to use those in lieu of celery. And I'll cook them in with the rotini when that's boiling. I'm going to use a very small quantity of this broccoli cauliflower mix. I've pulled out quite a bit of broccoli already, so it's probably going to be mostly cauliflower. And I'm just going to make a really small casserole, not casserole, but tuna casserole. Yeah, I guess it's casserole, but it's a 1-pot meal. And I only really need enough for lunch today, but if it gives me enough for lunch today and tomorrow, that's okay. Pasta's in. A little bit of broccoli and cauliflower. Looking good. The bread maker's making a big racket. I used about a half a can of the mushroom soup. This does not look super fancy. I haven't tried it yet, but it fills the spot. I actually really like tuna casserole. I love pasta. I like broccoli and cauliflower and all of the things that are in this. I'm going to top it with salt and pepper and call it lunch. Something is wrong with my bread dough. It was in a nice ball. Everything was going great. It's 4 hours and 20 minutes, so it was in the knead cycle the last time I looked. It was spinning around. Everything looked great. And it's just like the whole thing dissolved. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to do. I am going to try to save the dough. I really don't know what is wrong. I did use about a teaspoon of almond milk in lieu of a teaspoon of powdered milk. This is the 1.5 hour mark. So as you can see, some of the liquid has cooked off. So you always just add a little bit more to cover. This is looking great. I'm starting to make the scallop potatoes. I'm going to use 3 potatoes. I'm sure that's going to be way more than just one meal. Yeah, maybe I'll use 2. So I'm going to layer salt and pepper, layer salt and pepper, layer salt and pepper, and then mix the leftover cream of mushroom soup with some water, maybe a tiny bit of the milk, and pour that over top. I added some chives. Not chives, these are green onions, but they're small green onions, so I'm just in my mind thinking of chives. And I might actually put a little bit of cheese in between the layers. Not a lot of cheese, I'm still going sparingly with that. And that's how much liquid I've got in there now. I'll have to keep checking it. This will start to boil, of course. I did sprinkle some seasoning on top, and let's get it in the oven with the beans. I don't know yet how the bread turned out. The crust here around the edges feels quite hard. Hopeful. The scallop potatoes are done, cooling enough that I can lift the lid up. The beans are also done and look amazing. I've got Brussels sprouts in here, and I've got carrots that are just starting to cook. Besides for the outside crust being like really, really crispy, this turned out quite well. I'm very happy with it. Here we have ham dinner with baked beans, scalloped potatoes, Brussels sprouts, carrots, and homemade brown bread. And you do see 2 plates here because last night I was not home to eat the meal. So tonight, the handsome one is going to eat with me. So that's 2 meals. So even still with the groceries and the meals eaten. And there's tons of food left. I only did 1 slice of ham for each of us because I have enough leftovers that as long as I have ham, that we can have dinner again tomorrow night. And it's going to be delicious then too. I'm loving the smoothies with the avocado. They taste so fresh. 2 very large Swiss chard leaves in here. These ones are pretty thick. I should have used a little more liquid, but yeah, smoothies. Leftover tuna casserole from yesterday for lunch today. I'm having tomato slices from the garden as a side, and I also opened up for the very first time dill slices that I made earlier this year. I'm curious what they're going to taste like. I'm actually very excited about it. And I wanted to say about the casserole. In week 1, I made a casserole using half of the can of tuna, and I paired it with a Walmart brand white cheddar mac and cheese, and that was okay. But I really like the one that I just made with the mushroom soup way more. So I enjoy that one more. I just heated up the last 2 pieces of ham out of the package I opened yesterday because we have lots of beans left, scallop potatoes, not very many veggies. I'm going to need to cook some more veggies. And of course, my little half loaf of brown bread has this much left. That was exciting. Ham dinner again tonight. Yes, I'm sharing with the handsome one tonight. Just because I'm sharing with the handsome one tonight. He loves ham dinner. This just feels like a good thing to be sharing. And even after we've served these big servings, I still have beans left, and I still have scalloped potatoes left. So I got to think tomorrow on what could I serve those with that's not ham dinner. Looks good, looking so good. I was planning on having smoothies all week long for breakfast, but my blender stuff is in the dishwasher. The dishwasher is running, so today it is going to be apple, cinnamon, brown sugar oatmeal. I'm just using half the apple. I added the oatmeal in the water, and you know what? I should make a couple more oatmeal breakfast bags up right now while this is cooking. Before I do that, we'll give a little sprinkle of cinnamon. Oh, that was a little more than what I meant to do. In the glass jar is enough, the exact amount I need for a loaf of bread, and then I split the remainder into 2 breakfast packages, little oatmeal packages. All right, here is the oatmeal. We'll add in a little bit of the almond milk. I find oatmeal quite enjoyable, especially with brown sugar. Simple lunch today. We are going to have vegetable soup, the can of condensed soup, 1 can of water. There's a little bit more than 1 can in here because once I added the 1 can, I used a little more water to rinse out the can to make sure that I got every little bit of soup out of there. Vegetable soup. I don't know how this keeps happening. I am sharing with the handsome one. And we are having toasted brown bread. I cut the slices really thick, so we're just having 1 thick slice shared between the 2 of us. Even after full bowl servings, there's still a little bit left in here. It might be enough for me to get lunch out of it tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see if we're going to have extras or leftovers today. Tonight for supper, I am going to have planked salmon, rice, and a kale salad. This is actually kind of neat. That's an actual piece of wood. This is an actual cedar plank that the piece of salmon is sitting on. So I let this thaw, and it says to cook it for 14 to 18 minutes on 425 degrees in the oven. So I've got the oven preheating now. And is it preheating? Yes, the oven's preheating now. And the rice is almost done. Salmon, rice, salad. You can see the kale on the bottom there. And avocado. I'm excited. It looks delicious. We're back to smoothies again today. I used an avocado with supper last night, but I only ate half of it, so I want to eat up the other half right away. Took out a frozen banana, all the rest of the things that I have been using. Let's get to it. Smoothies for breakfast. Not quite as full a bowl of soup today as what I had yesterday. However, yesterday I only had a half a piece of bread. Today I'm going to have a full piece. Lunch is served. For supper tonight, I am going to make spaghetti. I have thawed 1 of the mild Italian sausages that I had left in the fridge, so we'll use that as the meat. I haven't cut the sleeve off of it yet, but I will. I'm going to grind this up. And I have onion. I have Swiss chard stalks that I'm going to use in lieu of celery. In the garden, greenhouse actually, we have peppers. I'm going to bring 1 of those in. I'm going to add some tomatoes. I do have some pasta sauce that's left, and just enough for 1 serving of spaghetti left for me. Spaghetti for supper. So I'm having a real difficult time getting the skin off. So I'm just going to cook that like that. I did get this much out here. I will, if I have to use kitchen shears to cut this down, like this down, that's fine. I will. This is a combination of the sausage, peppers from my garden, a little bit of onion, because I'm saving this much in case I need onions tomorrow night for my meal. The Swiss chard stalks, and I diced up several tomatoes from my garden. It's kind of making this saucy mess, but I actually have some leftover pasta sauce that I'm going to add in here. And I'm going to add in one of my garlic cloves. A little spaghetti. Never go wrong with spaghetti. And there's enough sauce left for sure for me to have another meal, or like 2 sides or something like that. But I don't have any more spaghetti left. I topped this with some of the free Parmesan cheese that I started the challenge with. And I don't know if you can see that there, but some parsley as well that I dehydrated myself. My last muffin for breakfast this morning. Lunch today is hamburger soup. I just took one of my frozen bricks out of the freezer and I'm going to just cook it straight from frozen. We'll see how that works out. I'll let you know. It thawed 4 minutes on high. I'm pretty happy with that. For supper tonight, I am having bacon and eggs and beans. Sizzling away. Now for scrambled eggs. Supper is scrambled eggs, bacon, baked beans, garnished with cherry tomatoes from my garden and dill pickle slices that I made myself. I did not know how these dill pickle slices would turn out. I've never made them before. I never made dill pickles using this recipe before, but the recipe I have used to make dilled carrots. Anyways, they turned out amazing. They're incredibly tangy, nice and sharp, strong dill flavor. It's awesome. Good meal. Good pickles. This is what we've got left at the end of week 4. I'm going to very quickly go through this. We've got flour, about a half a thing of rotini. We've got potatoes. We've got 1 cream of mushroom, 2 tomato, 1 vegetable soup. We've got popcorn, oats, cinnamon, peanut butter, rice, flaxseed, lentils, oregano, garlic, nutmeg, baking powder, baking soda, and yeast. We've got half a taco kit in here with half the seasoning. We've got the ramen noodles. We've got brown sugar, molasses, some apples here, 2 carrots, some small potatoes. These are individual breakfast servings that I've done up of oatmeal, hot sauce, cheese, prosciutto, frozen pasta sauce, eggs. So this is 11 eggs. We've got bouillon, cream cheese, fast and fancy rice. There's about a third of that thing of yogurt left, about a half of the thing of almond brie left, 1.5 frozen bananas, 7 avocados. This is a little bit of cooked rice. This is a half an apple. In this container is a bunch of apples and 3, see them in the back there, 3 spaghetti squash. We've got frozen broccoli and cauliflower, frozen beans, frozen strawberries, frozen peas, frozen Brussels sprouts, chicken strips. There's 4 shrimp skewers, salmon. This is 2 servings of beef hamburger soup, 4 servings of squash soup under there. We've got the cheese nibblers. This is 1 piece of cooked chicken. This is half of a package of breakfast sausages, half a package of bacon. This is 1, 2, 3 packages of 1/3 a pound of ground beef. Ham slices, honey garlic chicken thighs, 1 mild sausage, 2 pork chops. Not on the counter. There's a little bit of brown bread left. There is leftovers, baked beans, and scalloped potatoes. There is a cucumber well, not a whole cucumber, but most of a whole cucumber, and my scrap bags that I'm going to be using to make broth or bouillon. Those also aren't on the counter. And my bacon grease that I've been saving. I really did have a phenomenal week of meals. I mean, how can you go wrong with baked bean, scalloped potato, ham, dinner? I also had salmon this week, which is pretty awesome, and it was really good. I was wondering what the flavor would be like. It was orange and ginger, and I'm not a huge ginger fan, but I actually really liked it. It was a really enjoyable meal. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate it if you would do so. Likes, shares, comments, they help me as well. Have a wonderful weekend, and don't forget to stay tuned to Monday for the week 5 grocery haul. I've already completed the shop, and it was fantastic.